Hi everybody, you're very welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen and I make videos about the law, and today we're talking about how to make a first class honours essay. This is something that college students struggle with. It is something that I get asked all the time. I've given lectures on it to some universities, and there's actually a very clear-cut way to get a first class honours, and we're going to dive right into it. So the first one is to plan your essay. So when you're given the essay title, and we'll take one for example from the FE1 that I'm just going to flash up here real quick, you look for the keywords. So for example, in this one it would be adverse possession and in need of reform. Those are the two things, and from that you can glean the direction of the essay. When I think of law essays, I think of two parts. There's the qualitative and there's the quantitative. We'll actually put the quantitative first because that is the substance or the substantive part of the law. That's the bit that you learn, that you've learned from sources. But the cherry on top and how you actually get the first class honours is through qualitative analysis, and that is the critical analysis. I've made some videos on how to do critical analysis, and if you check those out under my law students playlist. But essentially what it means is having an opinion. So it's taking in the law, mulling it over, and then having an opinion. And those are basically the way you approach the essay based on the key words. And when it comes to the first tip, which is planning, those are the two kind of metrics you'll have in your head: quantity and quality. You don't want to have too much quantity. You also don't want to have too much quality, because then you lack the quantity and then you're not going to answer the question. So in the planning stage, which is tip number one, that's your approach, and then you basically divide the essay 50-50. And when it comes to answering the question, you actually answer the question in the introduction. That's what I would do. So if the question is, give a critical analysis of the need for reform of adverse possession, you would say, given the state of the law, this would be my opinion, given the state of the law and the uncertainties that arise around adverse possession case law, it is my opinion that the law is in need of reform to clear up some legislative anomalies, for example. That'll be one way of approaching it. And that is why you write your introduction first, and obviously the conclusion backs up what you've stated in your introduction. The introduction has to be very, very clear, because you're basically deducing, as in you're reasoning, your answer in the body of the essay, but the introduction gives the reader what they want to know, and it also kind of flags to the examiner that you're on the right path. It gets them interested in what you have to say. It also primes their brain for something good that's going to come. Quite frankly, most examiners are quite lazy. They read the introduction and they know automatically what kind of law student this person is just by reading the introduction. So if you can put all of your might into the introduction, but that only comes from planning, as in you know where the end destination is for the train before you even get on the train. That's the analogy I always use. If that can go in the first paragraph, you are basically home and dry, and you've got them on board. You've got them to understand the message you're trying to relay, and lo and behold, you may get a really strong and high grade simply from prepping your answer very well. When you are deducing or reasoning through the body of the essay, keep your sentences short and keep your paragraphs very short. The reason for this is because people don't have time for rambling sentences. People also don't appreciate long-winded explanations. Einstein said, if you haven't understood something, you won't be able to explain it simply. And a lot of people hide behind long sentences, fancy words. They don't speak directly because they don't understand what they're talking about. It's always a red flag if somebody is saying a lot. So I should learn to listen to my own advice. I would avoid using the passive tense. So for example, it is said or it is believed. Those are kind of passive constructions. Always keep everything active. So the case law states, the law says, or whatever. The other thing as well is to, use case law and legislation to back up your point. Don't use them as standalone arguments. It makes no sense. They're there to They're there to support an argument rather than to lead an argument. So use them sparingly, use them accurately, and use them correctly. Don't insert irrelevant law just because you're trying to look good. An examiner will see right through that. It's also a waste of time, and you could also fail the question for putting in something irrelevant because it would be classed as professional negligence. My final point is that an examiner will really appreciate somebody who thinks outside the box. That will really push your grade up. In my experience of correcting essays, I'm always looking for that je ne sais quoi, which is something a little bit different, something where somebody has gone the extra mile. For example, they've read a book, they've read around the topic externally, they know some niche details that are, you know, quite interesting and adds to the whole flow of the essay. It just pulls it all together. I mean, if you are somebody who got an A1 in Leaving Cert English, you will already be well capable of this and know that that is the secret to getting a high grade. But I think when it comes to law essays, just because everybody does the same thing, when somebody's a little bit different, it is appreciated. So yeah, my final tip would be a little bit different, just to see if you can push the boundaries and make the examiner's ears prick because, you know, you've done something a bit different. Anyway, I hope you are getting on well with your law essays over Christmas, and if you need any help, please write to me at info@lawhero.eu, and I will see you in the next one.